Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Under the bright lights of the NFL, every week brings with it a storyline that can tilt the balance of an entire season. And as Washington prepares for Week 4, one narrative looms larger than the rest: the uncertain health of star wide receiver Terry McLaurin. Fans of the Commanders know what McLaurin means to this offense. He's not just another weapon. He's the heartbeat of the passing game, the consistent playmaker who has bailed out quarterbacks time and again. Yet now, with a quadriceps injury suffered in the thrilling 41-24 victory over Las Vegas, his availability is suddenly in question, and the ripple effects of his potential absence could be felt well beyond just one game. The tension is real, because while football is the ultimate team sport, there are players whose presence changes everything, and McLaurin is one of those players for Washington. The injury itself came in a flash, a moment that was meant to be celebrated as one of the highlights of the young season. McLaurin stretched out for what looked like a jaw-dropping touchdown after a 56-yard connection, diving toward the end zone with all the speed and grace that Commanders fans have come to expect. The stadium erupted, the sidelines lit up, but just as quickly as the joy came, the mood shifted. Replay overturned the touchdown, leaving McLaurin just short of the goal line, and worse yet, he didn't spring up in his usual fashion. He remained on the turf a little longer than expected, and though he stayed in uniform on the sideline for the rest of the game, it became clear that something wasn't quite right. That quadriceps injury had entered the chat, and now the team, and its fans, are waiting for answers. Coach Dan Quinn has been guarded in his comments, offering little detail on the severity of the injury. That silence, in itself, fuels the uncertainty. ESPN's report that McLaurin is seeking additional opinions only adds to the anxiety, because players don't usually chase multiple evaluations unless there's real doubt about their short-term future. For a Commanders team that has started the season 2-1 and has shown flashes of being able to compete in a crowded NFC, the timing couldn't be more precarious. They're heading into a crucial matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, a team with its own playoff aspirations, and McLaurin's status could very well tip the scales. Fans won't have to wait long for updates. The team will release its first practice participation report of the week soon. But right now, every piece of news feels like it carries enormous weight. What makes this situation even more layered is McLaurin's remarkable durability up to this point. He hasn't missed a start since 2020, a streak of 72 consecutive games that speaks volumes about both his toughness and his value to the franchise. In a league where injuries pile up quickly, where availability is as valuable as talent, McLaurin has been as reliable as any receiver in the game. To imagine Washington lining up without him feels almost foreign, like a show missing its lead actor. That consistency has built a trust between McLaurin and the fan base, and even the suggestion that he might be sidelined has people holding their breath. It's not just about the numbers he puts up, it's about the steady presence he provides every single Sunday. And speaking of numbers, they don't lie. Through 3 games this season, McLaurin has 10 catches for 149 yards, and while those totals may not scream dominance just yet, they've been enough to keep Washington's offense humming. More importantly, defenses still game plan around him, opening up opportunities for teammates. His career resume is even more impressive. For 170 receptions, 6,528 yards, and 38 touchdowns since being drafted in the 3rd round back in 2019. Those aren't just stats. That's the track record of a player who has made himself indispensable. And when you remember that McLaurin's offseason was clouded by a holdout that stretched deep into the summer before he finally signed a 3-year extension on August 25th, the irony is striking. The Commanders fought hard to secure his future, and now, less than a month into the deal, they're holding their breath that the future hasn't been compromised. The ripple effect of his potential absence goes far beyond the stat sheet. This is an offense already dealing with its share of injury questions. Quarterback Jaden Daniels missed last week with a knee issue. Wide receiver Noah Brown has been sidelined with a groin injury, and suddenly the depth chart feels thinner than it should this early in the season. Take McLaurin out of the equation, and the Commanders' attack looks very different. Defensive coordinators will adjust, safeties may creep closer to the line of scrimmage, and the margin for error shrinks dramatically. Washington's coaching staff has preached next man up all week, but let's be honest, there is no true replacement for Terry McLaurin. You can shuffle names, call different plays, but the aura he brings to the field can't simply be duplicated. That's why Wednesday's update carries so much weight. The injury report won't just be a formality this time. It will be a referendum on Washington's immediate future. Will McLaurin be a limited participant, offering hope that he can gut it out against Atlanta? Or will he be sidelined entirely, forcing fans to confront the very real possibility of playing without him for the first time in years? The suspense is part of the drama that makes the NFL so compelling, but for Commanders fans, it's a nerve-wracking kind of drama. Every practice snap he takes, or doesn't take, will be dissected, every small clue interpreted as a sign of what's to come. It's also worth remembering that McLaurin's presence isn't just about production, it's about leadership. Since arriving in Washington, he's been one of the most respected voices in the locker room, a player who leads by example and sets the tone with his preparation. For a young roster, and particularly for a rookie quarterback like Daniels who is trying to establish himself, having that steadying influence on the field is invaluable. Take McLaurin out of the lineup, and you're not just losing yards and touchdowns, you're losing a compass. That's why this uncertainty feels so heavy, because his role stretches beyond the X's and O's. And then there's the timing. The Commanders have started the year with promise, sitting at 2-1 in a division that demands perfection. The NFC East has long been a gauntlet, and every win matters. Every injury magnifies. A victory in Atlanta would send a message that Washington isn't just hanging around, but is ready to compete seriously this year. But going into that matchup without their star receiver is like stepping into a heavyweight fight with one arm tied behind their back. It's possible, sure, but the odds shift. Fans know it. The coaching staff knows it. And you can be sure the Falcons are watching the news just as closely, adjusting their defensive game plan based on whether McLaurin's name appears on the active roster. Yet if there's one thing McLaurin has shown throughout his career, it's resilience. He's battled through tough stretches before, carried the offense on his back through inconsistent quarterback play, and always answered the call. That toughness is part of what makes fans hopeful even in this uncertain moment. Until official word comes down, there's always the possibility that he finds a way to suit up, to extend that streak, to give Washington one more week of the McLaurin magic. That's the hope keeping fans glued to every update, every insider tweet, every snippet from practice. For now, though, Washington lives in limbo, waiting for answers that will shape the narrative of their season. The storyline is set. A team with playoff aspirations, a star wide receiver whose status is hanging in the balance, and a pivotal Week 4 matchup looming. Will Terry McLaurin once again prove his durability and step onto the field, or will the Commanders face their first real adversity of the season without him? That's the drama of the NFL. One moment, a diving catch lights up the scoreboard. The next, the future feels uncertain. The only thing we know for sure is that the next few days in Washington will be filled with suspense, and fans everywhere will be watching, waiting, and hoping for the news they desperately want to hear. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Hold on to your seats, football fans, because the NFL universe just got rocked like never before. In what might be the most jaw-dropping, jaw-clenching move we've seen in recent memory, Josh Harris, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, or should we say the man making seismic waves across the league, has just executed a play that has left the entire NFL community in sheer disbelief. Forget what you thought you knew about off-season trades. Forget every calculated strategy pundits have been predicting. This one came out of absolutely nowhere, like a bolt of lightning splitting the sky during a calm summer afternoon. The headline itself is enough to make anyone's head spin. Josh Harris swoops in and steals Tyreek Hill from the Miami Dolphins and simultaneously announces a star-level signing in Washington, D.C., right in the heart of the Commanders roster. Yes, you read that correctly. The league is officially in shock. The Dolphins, known for being aggressive yet calculated in the market, suddenly find themselves staring at a gaping hole in their offensive lineup, while the Commanders now look poised to redefine what it means to compete at the highest level. Rumors, whispers, and frantic speculations are flooding the NFL circuits, with insiders claiming this is not just a trade, It's a chess move on a cosmic scale. Tyreek Hill, the man whose name alone sparks adrenaline in defensive coordinators across the league, has been the subject of countless trade rumors, but nobody expected him to be pulled straight out of Miami by a team that isn't typically associated with headline-grabbing offseason maneuvers. Sources suggest that the deal was both complex and clandestine, crafted behind closed doors with precision, executed in a way that leaves the Dolphins scrambling for answers and fans glued to their screens, mouths agape. The whispers say Harris leveraged every possible asset, every hidden clause, every subtle negotiation tactic in his arsenal to make this a reality. And then, as if the Tyreek Hill shock wasn't enough, he turns around and drops another bombshell. A major star is heading to Washington, D.C. The details are still murky, but speculation is rampant. Could it be a quarterback? A defensive titan? Whoever it is, the Commanders just went from a team with potential to a legitimate powerhouse overnight. Analysts are already recalculating projections, mock drafts are being shredded, and social media feeds are exploding with disbelief, awe, and a healthy dose of salt from Dolphins fans who can't believe their eyes. The implications of Harris's maneuvers are staggering. For the Dolphins, losing Tyreek Hill isn't just losing a player. It's losing a dynamic, game-changing force who redefined what the passing game could look like under their system. Hill has been a highlight reel every Sunday, a player defenses fear and offenses try to emulate. His speed, his route-running precision, and his uncanny ability to make the impossible seem routine have made him one of the most coveted talents in the league for years. The thought of him donning another jersey, crossing out the aqua and orange, and stepping onto a different field is a narrative straight out of a blockbuster sports drama. Fans are still debating what this means for Tua Tagovailoa, for Miami's offensive schemes, and for the balance of power in the AFC East. Meanwhile, Harris, already lauded for his vision and audacity, has cemented a reputation as a mastermind willing to make moves so bold they almost seem reckless, but genius in hindsight. This isn't a play to be cautious about. This is a declaration, a statement, we are here to shake the league and nobody can stop us kind of maneuver. Over in Washington, D.C., the air is electric with anticipation. The Commanders' fanbase, long starved for headlines and moments of pure excitement, is finally tasting a level of off-season drama usually reserved for the biggest markets in the league. The prospect of a star, whoever that may be, joining a roster alongside whatever core the team is building has everyone theorizing about the immediate and long-term impacts. Could this be the missing piece that propels Washington from underdog status to a Super Bowl contender? Is Harris building a dynasty under the radar, crafting a narrative that will be remembered for years to come? Rumors are already swirling that behind the scenes, there were negotiations that spanned weeks, perhaps even months, with agents, executives, and coaches in a clandestine dance, all orchestrated by Harris's hand. The NFL community is abuzz. Insiders are frantically texting each other to confirm details, and social media has exploded into a frenzy of memes, hot takes, and wild speculation. Every sports talk show is covering this as if it's the single greatest off-season story of the decade, and in many ways, it just might be. Let's not underestimate the shockwaves this sends across the league. The Dolphins front office now faces the task of reconfiguring an offensive game plan that was meticulously designed around Hill's unique talents. Rookie wideouts, veteran players, and coaching strategies all need reassessment. Meanwhile, the Commanders, long considered a team in the shadows of their division rivals, suddenly find themselves with a narrative twist that changes the conversation completely. The optics alone are astonishing. How often do we see a single figure like Josh Harris flip, not just one, but two franchises' trajectories with a move executed in the quiet hours of negotiation rooms, away from the public eye, only to emerge and reveal a plan that leaves everyone else scrambling to catch up? The audacity of it is breathtaking. And the fans, oh, the fans. Miami supporters are divided between shock and outrage, while Washington faithful are on cloud nine, their social media posts overflowing with excitement, emojis, and declarations of newfound hope. The discussions have shifted from next week's games to off-season legacy, front office brilliance, and whether Harris has fundamentally changed the landscape of the NFL. Will we look back on this moment as the turning point for these franchises? Will the Dolphins rebound and find a way to rebuild in the face of this unexpected setback? Or will the Commanders ride this wave of momentum into a new era of dominance, rewriting the expectations of what a team in Washington, D.C. can accomplish? Analysts, former players, and commentators are all scrambling to answer these questions. But the truth is, nobody has a definitive answer yet. In the middle of all this chaos, Josh Harris emerges not just as an owner, but as a figure of intrigue, audacity, and perhaps a touch of mischief. The way this story unfolded, with whispers leaking here and there, rumors swirling, and finally, the explosive revelation of both Tyreek Hill's departure from Miami and a major star landing in Washington, is the kind of narrative sports fans live for. It's messy, it's dramatic, it's unpredictable, and it's utterly compelling. And while the league processes the implications, the media cycles spin endlessly and social platforms explode with theory after theory, one thing is certain. This offseason just set a new standard for bold moves, power plays, and the sheer spectacle of professional football. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.